People who create computer viruses. Why? The information security ecosystem has changed quite a bit over the past few years. Whereas malware used to be created for lulls in TA 1337 factor, the neck-bearded basement dweller stereotype is no longer a suitable archetype to profile a modern-day malware author. This is for two reasons. First, computer security has, in fact, improved significantly over the years. Serious investments WRT understanding computer systems is necessary to discover, understand, and exploit the vulnerabilities used to propagate malware. Secondly, the cost of writing a virus has risen dramatically in terms of both legal ramifications and the technological capabilities to attribute a piece of malware to its author. With these two factors in mind, only those individuals or organizations with sufficient time, effort, and motivation are able to engineer advanced, effective malware. As the cat-and-mouse game of computer security progresses, the complexity of malware is beginning to resemble that of traditional legitimate software. Due to these criteria, malware authors must be able to justify their actions, meaning that sufficient financial gains or strategic gains, in the case of nationally sponsored malware, must outweigh the cost of development and operational risk. This is why traditional malware used to just fuck up your computer, and why modern malware is focused on compromising credentials, credit card information, or, as can be observed with the recent trend of ransomware, yes, scareware, trying to get the victim to pay the malware authors. Further, some malware families have sophisticated operational networks, such as that of the popular Zeus botnet. The group responsible for Zeus has its authors, money mules, and even customer support services, since criminals rent out the Zeus botnet to use as they please. Malware authors do their thing, because they're getting tangible benefits from it. To bring dire straits to your environment, crush your corporations with a mild touch, trash your whole computer system, and revert you to papyrus. My friend made one that created a red ball that bounced across your screen. When it reached the other side, it became 2 balls, 2 became 4, and then your entire screen was covered. Eventually, the computer crashed when the number of balls became too many for your processor. It was really entertaining. Plus, cause he's not a dick, he only did it to a couple of people, and took it off their comps for them after a couple of days. It was Jasut for Tay Luls. As the name suggests, I used to be one of these people. Personally, I did it as a way to test myself. It is an invigorating feeling to discover a vuln in a product you know millions use, and it then simply becomes a challenge to see how effectively you can propagate code exploiting it. What you have to understand is that 90% of malware is distributed by people who are just using another person's work, script kiddies, skitties, and the rest is by those who are more hardcore enthusiasts. The majority of hackers and malware authors are just bored computer enthusiasts. As for the comment about anonymity, the damage it does, unfortunately, few care. I'd never write something which deletes personal files, unlike some people, because I could imagine how I'd feel if I lost pictures of late relatives, etc. The fact that you don't know the victim often aids the attacker morally. I guess compared to most black hats, I acted rather morally, but I realized that what I did was still stupid. I could imagine some serious benefits from it, non-maliciously, or at least to the infected hosts. If one had complete control over 1 million computers, they might be able to do things they normally couldn't. For example, they could just have all of them ping a certain IP at the same time. DDoS. The user of the computers wouldn't even notice. Could also be used in brute force attacks. If you could build a more sophisticated synchronization system, you could have each computer check 1,000 or something. Possibilities in parallel, reducing time drastically. Again, user of the PCs may not even notice. I'm sure there are other creative and less destructive things that can be done too, like paralleling your number theory thesis when you got kicked off the uni's mainframe. I work in tech support, and I can tell you one thing. The people who created the FBI virus are fucking geniuses. It looks legit, and it doesn't ask for a completely unrealistic amount for a good amount of people. I cannot even count how many people I've had to tell to cancel their check because they already sent off the check before asking somebody about it. It's mostly just to see if you can. I've written keyloggers because I thought it would be a cool thing to try. Then it just starts getting further and further. I wonder if I could make it log keys. I wonder if I could have it automatically send them to me. I wonder if I could encrypt the data to prevent counter-hacking. I wonder if this method of spreading it works. That's generally how the thought process goes. I have no active keyloggers fishing for info, and I don't plan on making any more. It depends what you are talking about. Usually what will happen is a security-centric developer will come across a vulnerability and write a concept exploit, and then attempt to sell it to the company who wrote the software that is deployed across the world. This is how they make money. It's not quite extortion. If they for some reason do not care or do not wish to buy it, they will release it to the public. The company can then fix it, but not before they endanger the public. Sometimes these vulnerabilities are found and sold directly on a black market to be purchased by people in other countries with malicious intent. Anarchists or people seeking to target specific industries are individuals. The bug's vulnerabilities exist in very commonly used software, such as Adobe Flash Reader, Internet Explorer and other browsers, QuickTime, etc. Some security researchers simply operate on a full disclosure basis, where they will fully expose and document security flaws when they are found, so that they can be fixed with utmost urgency, rather than it being leaked silently and eventually patched. Some will just pastebin the vulnerability and anonymously leak it into dodgy channels, where it is ultimately abused. Viruses have to exist. Computer viruses are technological Darwinism. If we did not have viruses, if viruses weren't a serious threat, then one day someone would write a virus and everything would go to hell because no one would know how to deal with it. No antivirus systems would be established, no holes would have been identified and plugged, and more importantly, no systems would be coded to stop such viruses before they started. One virus could bring down a world if there were no viruses before it. This is just as true for normal biological and ecological systems. A system that has no training or countering mechanisms to an invasive organism will be destroyed because it has no way to prevent the proliferation of the invader. Also, you seem to have a very, very poor understanding of computers and computer systems, so I'd recommend that you use your leisure time to read up on biology, ecology, pathology, Center for Disease Control Theories and Methodologies, Computer Antivirus Basics. I actively operate without active antivirus and manually remove any serious threats without ever having been to a computer repair shop, and anything else that piques your interest in these areas. I not only want to know why, but who are these people? Are they serious people in business suits hacksering it away to create a malware or something? To steal your credit card information, etc.? Is it still nacho-powdered basement dwellers? Nigerian princes with computer skills? I just can't imagine what kind of people would work with this. What do you tell people when they ask what you do for a living? Oh, I make malware that shuts your computer and has you enter your credit card info to open it again? Do they get paid to do this? How do they look? Sorry, I'm just so curious. I have never had a virus that required me to replace a hard drive. I think you're doing something wrong. Viruses are a software issue. Unless they get a vulnerability that allows them to write to the MBR or something, you shouldn't really need to do anything outside fixing the OS. Also, repair shop? Why? Replacing a hard drive is one of the simplest things you can do for computer hardware. Some people do it for fun, others do it for the glory or bragging rights, and others do it for malicious purposes. However, the viruses that most people experience, and the ones that use a rootkit to embed themselves into your system, that require you to take it to a shop to fix it, are in most cases bots drones. The people who make them have massive amounts of backing, i.e. big money. The purpose of these viruses is to make your machine a drone to form cell of drones in close proximity. Then when they need to use that cell, they network all the other cells that they have acquired to process data. Sometimes it could be to crack passwords or to attack websites by DDoS attacks. So your machine inadvertently takes part as one of thousands of hijacked computers in attacking a certain site. You will most likely not even notice your computer's activity, but combined with thousands of other machines, it is a very powerful tool for the perpetrators. They also use it as a private network to pass messages through their hijacked cell network. A while back they used them for spam, but that gig is dying off now. These are the only ones I've learnt off. There are probably more nefarious uses for such a large network of computers, or their control. It's like in the old days when you would have to pay the mafia for protection, when the ones you needed protecting from was the mafia. So people write viruses so you will buy their software in order to get rid of the virus. Actually, this was just a complete guess. I have no proof and kind of just made it up because it sounds like it could be true. Autonomous systems are fascinating. Add self-replication, evolution, goal-seeking behavior, communication. That's what makes them interesting to me. I have never had any agenda other than to contemplate the possibilities. Artificial life and artificial intelligence are just fascinating. I really have no idea why they've become vectors for malicious purposes. I guess bad guys will adopt any technology. I'd rather design them to trade commodities and stuff. CryptoLocker. Before that came along, most viruses, even ransomware viruses, were aimed at tricking or scaring people into thinking they were in trouble and had to pay up to make the trouble go away. That's why nearly all ransomware consisted of replacing the desktop with an image saying your computer had been locked by the police for various offenses. Usually child porn, because it's almost a crime to be accused of that shit. So people who didn't know what they were dealing with would pay up just to see it go away, only to find, of course, it wouldn't. CryptoLocker was a total game changer in that regard. All of a sudden, you didn't have a virus that banked on people being gullible enough to pay. You now had a virus that said, ha ha ha, we have totally fucked up your system, and there is literally nothing you can do about it other than pay us. It made no pretense of what it was simply because it didn't have to. The guy who made it clearly knew what he was doing, and he made an extremely clever piece of programming. Even worse was paying up delivered on their promise to decrypt the files, so all of a sudden the news has got out that paying the money does work. What scares me most about CryptoLocker is that there is so much potential for copycat attacks. From what I can tell, antivirus companies never totally got the hang of preventing an initial infection, since it's usually days before you see the splash screen, by which time it's too late. I work from home on my computer. At one time when I was watching TV shows online illegally years ago, I got a horrific virus. Once Windows boots up, in 6 seconds, everything from your desktop disappears and hundreds of malware pop-ups start shooting up. Then an ad to buy malware remover software and areas for your credit card info. There was no way to do anything. It completely took over my operating system. I went to an internet cafe I lived next to and looked up the virus by typing in the malware remover product name. Some savior of men created a program that kills the virus's core files immediately. I saved it to an SD card. Then, when I went home and booted up my computer, I had to try and run the program within that 6-second time frame. It did the trick, then I was able to run malware bytes and the such to kill it off. Thousands of files of malware were found. Tangentially related, a long time ago on Reddit, someone complained of a shitty flash thing embedded into some websites that would hijack your screen and play a flash ad that was loud and scared the shit out of you, and between me and a few others, we hatched an insidious plan. The greatest non-destructive virus ever. And this is how it goes. When the virus infects your system, you will never know. No pop-ups, no redirects, no IP connections. It doesn't delete your files, it doesn't spread itself via email. For the most part, you don't know it's there. Imperceptibly slowly, it will begin to dim the brightness of the screen, and you'll be unaware you're concentrating to read text, and then eventually, for a split second, it will flash a shock image such as this, and vanish again. The user will probably scream or get scared, wondering if it was something in their browser, or something that caused it to happen. After a few minutes with no clue, they'll try to forget about it or dismiss it. It will happen again, however, after a few days when they've all but forgotten about it, when they least expect it, with no warning. The longer the computer is active, the higher the odds it will happen. Slowly, it will make you afraid of the computer. You'll hate to go on for too long. Soon, you'll stop using it, go outside, get hobbies, find excuses not to use your computer. Unless you buy a new one or reflash it, but you'll still have to go on it to move your files and you're too scared to do it. The frequency is getting more now. Nobody believes you. The horror of ghost virus. Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss new and the coolest stories from all over Reddit in the future. See you next time. See you next time.